Okay, good evening. We're about ready to go. It's 8 o'clock. I see we have several people in the room. I'm going to let Terry start, and my name is Steve Canode. I'll come back in just a few minutes. Go ahead, Terry.
Okay. You set the record?
Yes, I've got it on recording.
Okay. All right. Good evening, everybody, and welcome to our Data Analytics 610 student overview. This is the University of Maryland University College webinar. We're excited to have you join us today, and we hope you find tonight's session informative and engaging. My name is Terry Cooper, and I'm thrilled to be joined by Professor Steve Canode. This presentation will last approximately 30 minutes, and then we'll stay on the line for the remainder of the hour to respond to any questions that come in either via the chat panels, which are located on the lower right-hand corner of your screen. You're welcome to submit questions at any time throughout the presentation, as well as during the question and answer session. Just a little housekeeping note, if Steve hasn't already had a chance to, please go ahead and set your computer or your phone on mute so we won't get a lot of background feedback. Okay. Again, I'm Terry Cooper. I am one of two academic specialists within the Information and Technology Systems Department. And the Information Technology Systems Department is where the Master of Science in Data Analytics is actually housed. So it's myself and the other academic specialist. Her name is Mary Murrell. We work with all the program chairs that manage and run each of the programs within the ITS department, ITS standing for Information and Technology Systems. Within our department, there's several different master's programs, along with the Master's in Data Analytics. We also have the Master of Science in Information Technology with several different specializations tied to it. We have the Master of Science in Environmental Management, and we have the Master of Science in Biotechnology. So all of those different degree programs fall within the Information and Technology Systems Department, better known as ITS. My role is kind of trifold, where I work with program chairs and the faculty that teach your courses. I also work with the students of the university whenever they have specific classroom issues or concerns that they just can't get addressed through just speaking with an advisor. If they have program-specific questions, and they can contact either myself or Mary Murrell. But I also, part of our role also is to provide consultation and information to the academic advisors who actually are the first line of defense when students have questions. You'll actually, the academic advisors are the people that you're going to hear from consistently throughout your program. They're going to be sending you information about registration, admissions, just general information to keep you moving as you matriculate through the program. But course-specific information and questions, that you will contact either myself or Mary Murrell. So we do a lot of behind-the-scenes work within the department that kind of helps the program chairs and the faculty so that they're prepared to teach your courses. On the line again, we have Steve Canode. He is a full-time faculty member within the ITS department, and he is an instructor of your Data 610 course. Professor Canode has been very much involved with developing the course structure and determining course outcomes and objectives that students will need to demonstrate to be successful within the course, as well as when they're matriculating through the MS in Data Analytics program. So I will let Steve say a couple words about himself.
Thank you, Terry. Make sure yours is on mute so we don't get any feedback. Terry gets to do all the heavy lifting. I get to have all the fun. It's fun to teach. I love teaching. Some of you heard a little bit about my background if you came to one of our open houses, but basically I have a I don't know what happened here. I have an undergraduate degree in math. I have a, should be still sharing. What happened to my sharing? Uh-oh. We're sharing Terry now. I should be sharing mine. Someone else grab the sharing. Make sure you're not sharing or using your audio, as Terry said. Okay. I have an undergraduate degree in mathematics, I have a master's in business, and I have a doctorate in ops research management. So I'm very comfortable with both the business side and the mathematics side of the MSDA program. As Terry mentioned, I'm one of the few of us here who put the program together, and we had hoped for some success. We started in the spring of 2014 with 16 students. We now have almost 350. So you can see we've been extremely successful, and that's because, as you'll see in one of the slides upcoming, there's an awful lot of excellent opportunities out there for careers if you're successful and enjoy what you're doing in MSDA. We also thought, since this is the first course in the MSDA program, that would be appropriate to have a little orientation for you. So I think it's a good idea to have this little session right now. For many of you, this is either your first course at the University of Maryland University College or maybe your first online course. In either case, you have to get comfortable with doing things a little bit differently. You have to get comfortable, as I have over the years, with this distance at an education. It has its pros and cons. But I think the orientation will help serve a couple of purposes. First, get you somewhat familiar with the interface and what we're going to be seeing throughout the courses. And secondly, give you some tips about how to be successful. We have found that most of the students who aren't successful, and there's not a large number, but there's enough to, make us think we can do things better, it's almost always because they can't find the time to commit to the program. This is not a correspondence course. This is asynchronous, but it still involves a lot of interactivity. So we're going to give you some ideas, some tips tonight, a little preface to help get you comfortable with what you're going to be facing, not only in 610, but throughout the course, throughout the program, because all of the courses run similarly. So with that, I'll turn it back to Terry and let him go on to the next slide.
Okay. So within this presentation, we're going to cover some of the following items. First, we're going to give you an overview of the Data610 course. We're going to help you to understand, just in case for some of you who may not have ever done an online course, we're going to give you little information on how to actually navigate the Leo classroom. You'll find within your classroom there are so many different places you can go to find information that your instructor will have in there for you. So just having an idea of how to navigate will help you be successful. We're also going to make sure that you understand how to locate and read your syllabus. Your syllabus is pretty much your guide or your roadmap of how your actual course is going to be laid out. All the information about your deliverables, assignments, due dates, all that stuff is going to be in your syllabus. So the first thing you're always going to want to do when you enter a new course is to go and find your syllabus and read through your syllabus in case you have any questions about anything. We're going to keep stressing throughout this presentation. We're going to talk about the importance of managing your time, especially for those of you who've never really done an online program before. Managing your time is imperative because it's not like you're going to appear at a location every Wednesday night from 7 to 10. No, this is an online program. So you have to be disciplined, you have to be motivated because there's so many other things in your regular daily lives that can distract you. But it's key that you successfully manage your time, put the time in for study and preparation so that you can keep moving throughout your class and throughout the program. And then lastly, we're going to just talk about some of the contacts that are actually within the ITS department, along with myself and Mary. So those are some of the things we're going to go through within the presentation. Again, if you have questions, you can type them in the chat or you can raise your hand and we'll try to get to them at the end. Um, at this time, I'm going to turn it back over to Steve, and then I'll pick it up a little bit later in the presentation.
Okay, thanks, Terry. All right, I'm going to start with a little bit of a description about Data 610. That's your first course. There'll also be some slides where I talk generalities about the program, but let's deal with a little bit of the specifics. As I said, I was one of the ones who put the program together, so I think we tried to design, well, I know we tried to design a program that deals not only with the analytics side, but the decision-making side. We find that feedback from employers, from our board of visitors, et cetera, say it's not enough to be able to build analytical models. You have to be able to articulate what those models mean, what they imply, what kind of action should be taken to operationalize the results. In other words, you have to make an impact on the business side. So more and more we're seeing that data scientists have to interact with the line people, the business people, and have to have an understanding of the business as well as the ability to develop nice analytical models with insights. So we start with the 610 course by putting together a course that concentrates on two main areas: framing the problem, solving the problem. Actually three, and then the third thing is presenting your results. So we look first at, this is a description of the course, but you can see we emphasize early on the decision making in large organizations. Now, most of you still work in organizations that are at least sticking their toe into the world of analytics, but I'll bet many of them are still primarily making decisions based on hunch, intuition, experience, insights gained over the years, and that's fine, except that we see more and more reports and studies and surveys showing that evidence-based management and evidence-based decision-making is becoming the main thing to do, and mainly because it works so much better. You're easily overwhelmed by just a few numbers and statistics, so that it's important to be able to put that in a framework. So we start in the 610 course by talking about decision-making in organizations, how it's done now, how it should be done, go into some of the biases and things like that. Then move into making better improvements by showing how your data can be used to help improve insight for analytics.
Bob.
Uh-oh, sounds like we may have lost Steve for a moment. He should be
Yeah,
checking.
I see it muted me. I'm sorry.
Oh,
Let me review this slide again. These are two courses that you could take if you are either never programmed or rusty in programming. You're not going to do any programming per se in Data 610, but you are in 620, 630, and on. So again, these are two courses that are non-credit, relatively inexpensive, I think 150 bucks or something, and you can take them online, take one or either, and take them while you're taking 610 if you're rusty, because you're going to need these skills downstream. So just a reminder of those two courses, UCSP 635, UCSP 636. One is for people that have never programmed. One is for people that are rusty in programming. And you get to pick a language and you learn something about R and so forth, which will prepare you for courses downstream from 610. Now, a little bit, again, in general, how courses are conducted. Most of the courses work the same way. There are weekly lessons. And what you want to look at now, since we've sort of standardized, you want to look at the Student Weekly Lesson Guide. You may recall that if you've seen the announcement, we have eliminated all textbooks. Again, let me repeat that. We have eliminated all purchased textbooks. So we're saving you several $100s per semester by not requiring any textbooks to be purchased. That means that all of the readings, the videos to be viewed, etc., are open source, and the way you get to those is by looking at your Student Weekly Lesson Guides. The lesson guide will give you more details from the syllabus. It will walk you through a brief overview of the lecture material for the week. It will give you links to all of the required readings and maybe videos to view. It will give you, in my case, I create miniature lectures and record them and have them stream right on that student weekly lesson guide. So everything's there, and that's where you want to start after you're familiar with the syllabus. Then go to these weekly lesson guides, and they'll show up each week at the appropriate time. So they're a really valuable resource. You want to make sure you look at those. Now, let's go into the classroom. Here's a screenshot, and it's from my current classroom, as you can see at the top. I have section 9040 of Data610 this semester. And so when you first log into the classroom, this is what you're going to see. Now, I know it's a little small on the screen here, but you'll be able to see this fine. Here is a welcome message from me. Here's a calendar showing, in this case, when the assignments are due. Okay, and then at the top there are many other links. So you want to look at this announcement section frequently. I use it, and each faculty member does a little bit differently. I use it to provide updates, to provide new links, more interesting, more in-depth readings, any changes to anything. So you want to make sure you look at that announcements piece often. Every day would be ideal. I know everybody's busy, but remember, we are expecting a 15 to 20-hour commitment each week to succeed in these courses. 6 credits for each course, so it's packed. So you really want to make sure you log in and take a look. If you have questions, post them. If other people have posted questions, take a look at the answers that have been provided. It really helps you keep on the ball, up to date, and know what's going on. So the announcements section is one of the key pieces you want to look at. Now, let me go back. The next thing you may want to look at is this little button up here called Content. When you click on Content, here's a little blown-up view here, and there's a couple of key things on here. Under Course Content, you will see the weekly lesson guides show up. Well, you click here, and it'll open up another panel which has the lesson guide link. But these will show up week by week. We don't put them all out at once. Some people say, why don't you put all 12 lessons out at once? Well, then people work ahead. They get confused. They're not up to date. They don't get the feedback on the assignments. So we try to keep the class together by only giving you a lesson at a time. Now, you may see a couple lessons at a time, but only a time. Here's a link, as Terry pointed out. The first place you want to go is take a look at the syllabus. Again, the syllabus is a document we write a few weeks and sometimes even months before the semester starts. So the weekly lesson guides are probably a little more current than the syllabus, but they should be in sync. And finally, there's something called the Academic Integrity Pledge that you'll see, and it says action required. There is a requirement each semester to fill out and complete this little Academic Integrity Pledge. It's a very simple little one-paragraph statement that says basically says all of the work that you're going to do for this course is your work and your work only. So, copy and paste that, deposit it in the assignment section. There's no credit for that assignment, but you're not going to get any grades for any assignments until you do that. So please make sure you get in there as early as you can, preferably this week before classes start officially next Monday. Take care of the Academic Integrity Pledge, and I know some of you in my section have already done so. It takes about 30 seconds. Start looking at the syllabus, start preparing yourself, and if you want to, go ahead and look at what's going to be in Lesson 1. Okay, so that's a good entry into the classroom. When you open up the syllabus, when you click and open up the syllabus, there it is. It's going to look like that, and it's going to scroll down and have everything in it. A syllabus is basically the contract. It says, here's what I'm going to do, and here's what you're going to do. Of course, you're going to do the assignments. I'm going to provide the material, the links, the amplification, the intellectual capital, etc. And so you want to be careful, you want to look through that carefully and make sure you understand everything. Understand, for example, the penalty for late assignment submissions. Understand some of the other rules about classroom decorum. We advocate, as do all schools, I think, a full and open discussion. It looks like Jackie Jackson has his or her video on. You may want to turn that off. Thanks. So look through the syllabus, scroll down, read all the pieces, take a few minutes, make sure you're very comfortable so you don't come back later on and say, oh, I didn't know about that. And you say, well, it was in the syllabus. So you need to look at that very carefully. Take a few minutes. It doesn't take long. Okay. When we put this program together, again, a little over 2 years ago, maybe 2.5, The group of us that did it knew what was coming at the University of Maryland University College. We knew that we were moving towards a competency-based curriculum. A competency-based curriculum means that you have to be able to do things, not just know things. Again, employers, Board of Visitors, surveys all come to the bottom line that says, well, it's great if Steve Canode knows a lot about decision trees, but can Steve Canode build a decision tree? Can Steve Canode explain a decision tree? Can Steve Canode frame a problem adequately? So we set out when we built the MSDA program to make it competency-based from the get-go. In other words, you are graded on what you can do, not what you know. Now you have to know a lot to do something, but we want to see some output. We want to see some final production. And of course, that's going to serve you well, because by the time you finish the program, you could have, if you do everything well, a very nice portfolio of things you've done to show your prospective employers or current employers if you're looking for promotions. So that's one of the reasons you'll see almost, well, every assignment says you must produce some sort of a document, a presentation, etc. Now, there's several skills that are developed specifically in the Data610 program. First of all, we focus on, as I said earlier, problem identification and framing. In order to convince people that they want to move to a more evidence-based management style where data is the driver, not hunch and intuition and gut feel, you have to be able to frame problems well. Framing is so important that we spend about 4 weeks in the Data610 course, about a third of the course, focused on problem framing and identification. For example, what are the objectives? You don't just say, oh, here's some data, I think I'll wander around inside that data, see if I can find something interesting. That's too time-consuming and usually results in a dead end. You have to frame the problem, say, what exactly am I trying to accomplish? What are the KPIs, the knowledge performance, the key performance indicators? What are the outcomes I'm looking for? What kinds of information do I need? What's the analytical piece? In fact, just to give you a heads up, if you've looked at Data610, you'll know that the first program you're going to use is something called Decisions First, which is a software program that has nothing to do per se with building analytical models, but everything to do with framing the problem. And I'll be providing a walkthrough of that sometime in the latter part of next week. So I'll show you exactly how to do it. And there's plenty of tutorials, etc. The second thing that you'll accomplish in terms of a skill is you'll get good with some software. We are now using Watson Analytics. Maybe some of you have heard of that. Watson Analytics came out about 1.5 years ago, and it now has over 500,000 users. There's a reason for that, and the reason is it's very good entry-level software to help you explore data, refine data, build predictive models, and build a dashboard presentation of your results. In other words, it encompasses many of the key skills that we're looking for as this program. It's from IBM. It certainly is free. It's not going to cost you a penny. It runs in the cloud. All of our software runs in the cloud, so we're getting you used to cloud-based software, which is the growing norm, rather than loading bloated software on your computer. So you're going to use this software to do some data analysis and refinement, to build some cursory predictive models, and to do some presentation. It's a very interesting package. Students have really grown to adore it. We've used it for 2 semesters. They just released, in the latter part of the summer, the new version. So we're still acclimating ourselves as professors to some of the changes. They're nuanced changes, but we'll certainly provide you with plenty of assistance, and there's all kinds of help there. And the third skill you'll develop in the Data610 course is virtual team coordination. As I'm sure most of you know, most teams now are virtual teams. You don't really bring everybody together. They're expensive and time-consuming and everything. You let people work online. They use software such as we're using, WebEx or other programs, to exchange ideas, to coordinate, and so forth. So there is one significant team assignment in the Data610 program which gets you started with learning to deal with virtual team coordination. It has its pros and it has its cons, and I'm sure everyone is aware of that who's tried it already. Again, the 2 software packages that we'll be using in Data610 this semester: Decisions First for problem framing and structuring, Watson Analytics for data refining, data exploration, data modeling, and data presentation. In other words, building a small dashboard. Both programs, as I mentioned, are accessed totally from the vendor's website. They run in the cloud. Now, I want to warn everyone, do not go out and sign up for either of these. We will take care of that. You will be informed when you're signed up, and you'll be given the exact instructions on how to do so. It's much easier. It's much easier, and it runs much better if you let us take care of that aspect. And I'm sure you just as soon we take care of that aspect. So you'll be receiving information very soon about accessing Decisions First, because that's used in the first 3 or 4 weeks of the program. And then you'll receive information at the appropriate time on your access to Watson Analytics. But again, cloud-based software is where everything is headed, rather than running from your computer. That way you can run it on mobile tablets. You may even be able to run it on your phone, et cetera, et cetera. So it's very appropriate. Assignments. I thought I'd give you a little heads up. There are 5, or depending on how you count it, 6 assignments in the Data610 course. I just put a brief outline here. There's much more detail in the course website. There'll be some more details about exactly what needs to be in each of these assignments provided in the assignments folder in your Leo website. But just to give you a heads up, you're going to have an assignment due at the end of week 3 where you're using the Decisions First software to fully frame a problem. You're going to have the next 3 assignments will be individual assignments using Watson Analytics, due at the end of week 5, due at the end of week 7, due at the end of week 9, and then the larger team assignment is due at the end of week 12, which is the end of the course. And each of those has different weights that are covered in your syllabus in terms of percentages. A small percentage of your course grade, it is 5%, is based on your contribution to the discussion items that are listed each week. Now, you don't have to contribute to every one of them, but what we're looking for is your insights. In other words, sometimes the discussion items will say, have you used any of this at your work? If you have, it would be nice to see some elaboration on that. How did it work? Did it succeed? Are you using Watson Analytics? Are you building predictive models? Are you framing problems? Do you use intuition? I mean, it goes on and on and on. There's a lot of discussion items. And what those do is allow us to get a good feel for what's really going on out there in the real world. You all have the luxury of being in the real world and having to deal with these kinds of issues and problems and approaches and advantages and challenges every day, whereas we're teaching about it based on what we read, and many of the adjunct faculty are in fact practitioners. So it's nice to have significant contributions. That doesn't mean just wordy. It means insights. It means histories, tips, ideas. And we don't expect them to be all positive about, oh, this worked great at my organization. So feel free to contribute to those as you see. I mentioned the academic pledge, the academic integrity pledge. That needs to be completed as early as possible. It's an assignment, but not a graded assignment. It just needs that we need to see that you've done that before you'll receive any grades on assignments. Later in the course, about week 4, you'll be asked to take a course from Big Data University. Now, Big Data University is something IBM put together with tremendous short free courses, few hours long in most cases. There's one there on Watson Analytics Fundamentals. It's so good and so much better than anything we could have put together that we make use of that with IBM's permission. You take that course, you show evidence of completion, and then you're ready to take on Watson Analytics. And it's about a 4-hour course. So you'll have to do that, I think, when you're told in week 4 when it's assigned. And now there are activities in the off weeks that you should be doing. You know, again, one of the dangers, and Terry will talk a little bit about this in terms of time management, is always saying, oh, I don't have anything to do till the end of week 3. I'm going to wait till that weekend when it's due on a Sunday night and start working on that. That is not going to work. You're going to find that you're overwhelmed, that you can't learn software that fast, that if you have minor hiccups in the software, there's no time to ask questions. You've got to put the time in each week. So if you can get very structured about it and say, I'm going to spend my 15 to 20 hours each week, you're going to be successful in the course. The assignment folders, of course, are where you submit the assignments. Again, if you're new to Leo, you'll get used to this. You can see there's a folder for the Academic Integrity Pledge. There's another one down here for the Big Data University Fundamentals course. Those receive 0 credit. And then there's the assignments that you do submit, the individual and team assignments that do receive credit, and then we attach the discussions credit at the end of the course. We're now at my last slide. Again, my tips would be, again, as I said, manage your time. Make sure you do the required readings. When we remove textbooks, we also substitute in what we call open educational resources that are equally good to what a textbook would provide. So you need to do those. You need to contribute to the discussions. You need to practice. I'm sure everyone out there has learned software, and every time you learn a new piece of software, the fog rolls in and you say, what in the world is going on here? And then as you use it, as you practice with it, the fog lifts, the fog clears, and now you say, oh, that's not so bad. It works exactly the same, and I have a long experience with many, many, many software packages. It works exactly the same for all of us. You will have some confusion at the start. It will clear up if you ask questions, if you watch the videos, if you practice. And then finally, you want to be sure to complete and submit your assignments on time. With that, I'm going to go back now. I think, well, I've got a couple more slides, don't I, Terry, or you take over yet? Not till 19. There's lots of help. Most of the Data610 sections have a professor, well, they all have a professor, and most of them have a faculty assistant. This is a person designed to help you, more than the professor, deal with issues. They may be software issues, they may be computer issues, they may be issues about the assignments in terms of clarity. The faculty assistant working with the professor will clear those up for you as quickly as possible. You also have, as Terry mentioned, your advisor that you can talk to about the program, but that's different from being different from the professor. Those of you who may have some kind of need extra help, you need to deal with the Office of Accessibility Services that handles all of that. And of course, there are academic specialists and the ultimate arbiter of everything, the program chair. So plan your time, don't fall behind. Attend the software walkthroughs. Again, we do a walkthrough of every software package we have, sometimes multiple ones. And those walkthroughs are recorded. You can watch them over and over again. There's also many extra videos created by the vendors. But we try to make the walkthroughs a little more acclimated towards this course. Practice with the software. Make sure you follow the assignment guidance. I have many students who see what the assignment is but fail to look at the detailed tasks that are subsumed in the assignment. Make sure you address each of those tasks so that you get full credit for them. I said I was going to talk a little bit about career opportunities. You know, the carrot at the end of the program, of course, is the potential to get one of these really nice jobs. This is a quick listing of the job titles mentioned in LinkedIn about a year ago. In fact, it's much higher now. I need to update our slide. But you can see there were over 68,000 mentions of jobs for business specialists, over 67,000 for data scientists, and on and on and on. So if you find that you really like this stuff, first of all, there are a lot of job openings. We're going to need somewhere around 1.5 million additional data scientists in the next 5 or 6 years. So that's a lot of openings. And as many of you have researched, I'm sure, you know that the average salary for a data scientist starts at about $85,000 and goes up. So this is both a very lucrative field and a field in great demand. Now, there's a reason for that. The reason for that is it takes some skills. It takes some chops in terms of being able to, first of all, frame problems, solve problems, sell the answers. And those are the three fundamental themes that you will see emphasized throughout our program. Now I think I will turn it back to Terry. So go ahead, Terry. I'll let you take the last few slides, and then we'll answer questions.
Okay, thank you, Steve. Just a couple things I want to go over with you. Just in case any of you don't know, you actually get access to your courses 1 week prior to your actual course start date. So whatever your course start date is, 7 days prior to that, you get access to your course. So what you need to do in that pre-week, as we call it, you can do things like, make note of your instructor's contact information, find out, make sure that you make note of their email, any phone numbers, any contact information that your instructor had. You should have that. Go through your syllabus so you can make note of the dates of any of your assignments, any of your deliverables. You will, depending on from course to course, some instructors will have you'll have assignments due, you'll have a quiz due or an exam due, you may have a paper. And also, one of the things you want to understand is we do group papers in some of our courses. So I know a lot of people sometimes have apprehension when you're working in groups, and it's even a little more difficult when you're working in groups with online students, because everybody is in different time zones. But we understand that that's the way industry is. When you get out there in the industry on the job, you'll be put on groups to do different various projects, and not all your group members are going to be sitting there in the office with you. So we kind of get you in the habit of doing that right here at UMUC. So those are some of the things that you're going to have to work through. And my suggestion to you is become very active in your classroom discussions. Your discussions are where you can actually interact with your classmates as well as your instructor. There'll be different discussion topics that you have to respond to, but don't just respond to the instructor. Respond to your classmates as well, because he or she may give an opinion or have an idea that you haven't thought of. And that's not to say that you're going to agree on everything, but if you disagree, just do so respectfully. But participation in the classroom is vital, and that's how you're going to get to know each other and get to find out how each other works. And if you're ever placed in a group with a particular person, you kind of have an idea how that person works and how they think. But it's very important that you participate actively in the classroom discussions. If a classmate posts something that you think is good, give your opinion on it. Don't just say yes, a good post, or yes, I agree. Give your opinion and explain why. Or if you disagree, give your opinion and explain why you disagree. But again, just do it respectfully. But a lot of our instructors will grade you on classroom participation, and a lot of that comes from the discussion topics. Okay. You want to keep abreast of the policies. Especially the policies for submitting work late. And I don't want you to get into the habit of submitting work late, but if, as we all know, things will come up. Be professional. Make sure, that you speak to your professor ahead of time. Don't speak to them after time of your assignment that's due, and then, expect them to work miracles for you. Try, be professional. Be a professional student. If you got something coming up on your job is going to have you away for a while, or whatever the situation is, talk to your professor ahead of time and just give them a heads up and see if you can work something out. So if the assignment is due Sunday night at 11:59 p.m. and understand that UMUC stateside is on the East Coast of the United States, so all your deliverables will be due Eastern Standard Time. So just make note of that, because I know we have students all around the world, and but everything that is supposed to be submitted by the due date will be via Eastern Standard Time. But be proactive. If you got something coming up, it's gonna put you a little bit behind. Talk to your professor ahead of time, rather than after the fact. Okay. Also, make sure that you refer back to your syllabus. If you feel yourself getting off track or you're not sure about a date, go through your syllabus. Make sure that you're kept abreast of all of your due dates on assignments and so forth. And if you have questions, email or contact your professor. Okay. Next slide. All right. Study tips. All good study techniques start with good note-taking ability, good note-taking habits. Taking good notes will improve your ability to study more effectively. And again, as Steve has mentioned earlier, you want to put in at least 15 to 20 hours per week. These are 6-credit courses, so your course load is pretty heavy. Some people like to look at it as taking, two 3 hour courses. This is a 6 hour course. So you definitely have to manage your time wisely and effectively. And you have to figure out, where is a good place for you to study, what's a good time of the day for you to study. You're going to have to work through all that. So you're going to have to make sure that you take good notes. These courses, they move pretty quickly, and you don't want to find yourself falling behind. So, figure out what's the best place, wherever you live, wherever you're located. If there's a college library or a local library, don't be afraid to go take up some space in your library. If home is just not the best place, if a lot of us have children and other things going on in the household, and it might not just be the best place to try to sit down and study. Don't be afraid to go pick up and go to your local library or your college library, because you got to really put in the time. The challenge, becomes a little more difficult when you're distracted. So you want to try to eliminate your distractions and figure out your own schedule and plan a time for your own study. The key to it is try to go through it every day. Every day. Don't, even if it seems like it's a lull and you don't have a lot going on within that week for that course, hey, you're still gonna need to go through your notes. Something's gonna be coming up, whether it's a quiz or exam or a paper or whatever. It's right around the corner. So, don't go too long without looking through your classroom, seeing what's going on, reviewing the discussion topics, because you're gonna have to respond to the discussion topics, whether it's just the questions that your instructor has posted or some things that your classmates have posted. So the key to it is try to keep up with it every day if possible. Okay. Next slide. Don't be afraid to ask questions. If you have something that you're not really clear about, if the instructor has posted some information that you're not really clear about, please ask questions, speak up. Make sure, whether it's in the discussion topics or whatever, or if you have to email your professor, ask your questions, get clarity. Okay, that's very, very important. Put some thought into your answers. Use your critical thinking skills. Don't just pull stuff out the air. Think about what you're saying. Make sure it relates to the topic, and use your critical thinking skills. Explain why you agree or why you disagree. Don't just say I don't agree or whatever. Put some thought behind it and explain it. It's okay to have a differing viewpoint, but just make sure that you explain it, because folks might not see it from the same viewpoint that you're coming from, and that might help somebody. So be respectful, be insightful, but explain where you're coming from, and it's okay to agree or disagree, but definitely speak up. Okay. Instructors look for those types of things. They want to see the activity in the class. They don't want to just have to lecture. That's not how you engage with each other. The instructor wants the students to engage with one another, particularly because you're online. You're not sitting in a particular brick and mortar classroom. So it's very important to be active in the classroom. Okay. Again, if you have general questions, program specific, you can come to either myself or Mary Murrell. We are the two academic specialists that work with the program chairs in the ITS department. And as you can see on the slide there, those are our emails. So you can email either one of us. We are the ones who kind of assist the academic advisors who work with you, the student, because we provide them with program information that they just don't have. So, but they will always be your first point of contact. So when you're calling in, and usually they're there to help you with just general registration, admission questions, things of that nature. But when it comes to stuff that's specific to your actual program that you might need an answer from us or from a program chair, that's when you want to either come to Mary or myself. Okay, so at this point, we've been talking a lot. We want to kind of open up the floor to questions. And I'm going to take a look through the chat room and see if anybody has put anything in the chat session.
Thanks, Terry. Those are good tips. I want to remind everybody that, again, as he said, if you have a question, don't let it fester. Don't let it bother you. We have places where you can ask questions if you think the answer would benefit all, and if it's a question that is particular to just you or something private, you can always email your faculty member. Emergencies, you can phone your faculty member. So we're always available. And something we left out of the presentation, but the main thing is I think you should enjoy the courses. If you're someone who likes active learning, if you're someone who likes getting into this stuff, this is going to be a lot of fun. It's going to be a lot of interest, it's going to be a lot of work. But I find that, what's happened, to give you a mega trend that I think is important, is that the tedious calculations are gone. I'm old enough to have done those by hand. And now we're delighted to see that you really don't have to do the tedious calculations anymore. What you have to do is be able to frame the problem, design the right solutions, let the software do the heavy lifting of the calculations, and then be able to explain and articulate what you did and why it's important. I see a question there. Is a particular computer you would recommend for the program? Well, the software runs in the cloud. The only software that is computer specific is when we get to Data610, which I also teach. SAS Enterprise Miner requires a Windows computer, so that's in Data610. You won't necessarily need that until 640, so I think either a Mac or a Windows computer would work just fine. So I think it's going to be fine. I see somebody's screen is open. Is that, I'm not sure whose that is. Okay. So either kind of computer will serve you fine. Certainly for 610, we run the software from the vendor site. Most of the courses do that. We have a couple of courses where you learn R, and of course R is an open source software program that you can download and run on either kind of machine. As I said, the one software program we're currently using that is machine specific is SAS Enterprise Miner in Data610. Other questions? I know we have, a significant number of people who are new to UMUC and or new to online learning and or certainly new to the world of data analytics. Don't be concerned. We will make sure everything is palatable and understandable. Again, the deal is if you could put in the time and effort, you're going to succeed. I can pretty well guarantee that, because almost every person I've had who did not succeed, and there haven't been many, it's been because of inability to find the time and effort, or occasionally sickness or something. But usually it's inability to find the time and dedication to do it. And as Terry was pointing out, you really need to have that effort each week. It's impossible to make up. If you miss a week, it's impossible really to catch up because you can't do 2 weeks' work in 1 week very easily. I see another question about how early in the term are the groups formed for the group assignment. I can only answer for myself, and that is that I don't form the groups until well into the semester. I don't want people working too far ahead, as I mentioned earlier. And I also let Leo form the groups automatically. So I don't try to pair people up based on any certain criteria. The software that we use will form groups automatically. I think that has its pros and its cons, but it's worked well so far. Which programs would we be learning in this course? You stated SAS Enterprise Miner and R. Well, each course has its own program. Certainly, if you look at the world of data analytics, there are an awful lot of very, very popular and widely used programs out there. R is by far the most widely used because it's free. It's a programming language that has tens of thousands of libraries available that you can download and run for free. So we use R a lot, especially in Data610 and beyond. Python is used because it's probably one of the more popular programming languages to do big data. We'll learn a little bit about Hadoop, SQL, NoSQL. As I mentioned in 610, you learn Watson Analytics and Decisions First in Data 640, SAS Enterprise Miner. So unless someone can assure me which program will be the standard for everyone to use in the future, we felt like it was important to teach you a breadth of programs. That means you don't necessarily go as deep in any of them, but certainly when you're finished with the program and somebody mentions one of these programs, you don't go, "What's that?" And we don't think it would serve you well to not know something about these programs. Now that changes semester to semester as things ebb and flow. We occasionally put a program in, take a program out. So I will assure you that we monitor the tea leaves very closely and change things accordingly if something all of a sudden dominates. As I mentioned, we did not use Watson Analytics until spring because, first of all, it didn't exist, but secondly, it wasn't widely popular until it got out there for a few months, and all of a sudden everybody said, "This is phenomenal," and it was better than the package we had been using for entry level in the first course. So, we do switch. There is some Spark. I see a question. Later on in the program, there'll be some Spark, not in Data 610, but yes, there will be some Spark, acquaintance with Spark. Somebody said they're familiar with VBA and HTML, learning R and Python. Would you still suggest I take the coding classes? I think if you're learning R and Python online, you're probably going to be fine. How much programming skill required to succeed in the entire program? Well, that's hard to say. Certainly this is not a program designed to produce coders. And certainly, as I said, there's at least 3 or 4 programs I mentioned, R, Python, etc., that do require some coding skills. And so you are going to have to learn to code some, but we take you from the assumption that you have done no coding with these programs and then bring you up to the level we think is appropriate. I won't say it's mastery level, but it's certainly a significant level where you're able to function. So it's hard to put a number on that. Will you be sharing the PowerPoint presentation used in your discussion today? I can certainly do that. I will send it to Terry and he can make it available because we'll also be sharing the recording to this. Do you provide tutorials to learn how to use the software? Yes. Some are from the vendor. Some are created by us. So a combination of things. But yes, we try to make sure that everyone has an extremely good opportunity to learn from the basics and build on that for every single software package. There's no assumption that, oh, well, too bad you don't know how to do that. So don't worry about that. If you're willing to, again, put the time in and practice, you'll be fine. I'm not sure what that is on the screen. My screen has a bunch of windows there that people are leaving the meeting. Those of you who think you've heard all you want to hear are free to go, of course. It was voluntary to even come, but we thought it would be appropriate to at least provide a brief overview. Now, of course, I'll be providing an overview of Data 610 in more detail, and certainly a lecture or a material about the biases. If those of you who get into your 610 course already, you will see in that first week's student lesson guide a recording by me talking about a couple of the decision biases that are well known. I'm going to cover in more depth in a WebEx session on Monday night at 7:30 for all 610 sections. So your professor has the link to that, and you certainly are invited. That again, all our online live sessions are recorded. The bulk of the weeks are asynchronous. Occasionally we do a live session, like I'm going to do the walkthrough of Decisions First. We'll have a walkthrough of Watson Analytics. Those will be live and recorded later downstream. Do you teach all of the courses in your program? Sometimes it feels like I do, but no, I don't. I teach 610 every semester. I teach 640 every semester, and I'm teaching 670, the capstone course, this semester. I don't often teach 650 or 630 or 620, but I'm a full-time faculty member who loves this stuff, so I teach what needs to be taught. We offer, as I'm sure you know, multiple sections of every course every semester. Again, multiple sections of every course every semester, because the demand has grown to where we have to. And of course, that means you can finish the program in about 2 years if you go take a course, a 6-credit course each semester, because we have 3 semesters per year. Do I offer a free subscription of lynda.com? No. I'm not familiar with that. One of the other professors might be. But everything we use, I can assure you, all the software we use in the program is free. Just like we've eliminated textbooks, we've eliminated any software cost. So we're trying to make this affordable. I think if you look around at all of the schools offering analytics master's degrees, you'll find this is by far the best bargain. In terms of quality, we just won a couple of awards that are very nice to receive for innovation and for being very much into the mainstream of working with industry. We work heavily with IBM. Some of you may know that we're going to be having a meetup at the main campus where myself and one of the other another teaching assistant and myself will be doing a little overview of Watson Analytics. Certainly anyone can attend that, although you'll be getting the same information in the 610 course a little bit later on. That's going to be in the Largo area on September 20th. Yes. Any books written? I guess you mean, have I written any books? I have not written any books. I have written chapters in books and articles. I've not written a book. It's always something on everybody's to-do list, not on mine. What software were you using prior to using Watson Analytics? We used several packages. We used, there's a package called BigML. I like that package a lot, BigML. ML stands for, of course, machine learning. If you go to bigml.com, you'll see a very interesting package. It's from a small company. It does a great job on one specific aspect of predictive modeling, decision trees. It can also do a little bit in other areas. I think it's a really neat package, not as thorough or as good as an entry level, perhaps, as Watson Analytics. We were also using another package from a small company called Prediction with an X, Predixion. Those worked well. We used RapidMiner, I think, one semester, but we find Watson Analytics to be more appropriate. Again, everybody wants to jump into the advanced stuff, or not everybody, but a lot of people want to. But you have to run, you have to crawl and then walk and then run. And so Watson Analytics will give you a full panoply of the world of analytics in a nutshell without having to program. And for those who haven't done much of that, it's a great way to start. You begin to see, aha, here's what I really want to do with an analytics approach. Here's what I want to do. I want to be able to refine my data. I want to be able to gain insights. I want to be able to build predictive models. I want to be able to put that into a dashboard and explain it. Well, guess what? Watson does all of that. Can we take more than one course in a semester? No, because they are built on each other. So you have to take them in order. And so you need to take 610 before you can take 620, 620 before 630, etc. So they proceed, and we've designed them so that we know that the people going into 620 have done everything from 610. People going into 630 have done everything that was required in 620. So you need to be able to take them in a sequence. And 6 credits is a pretty big load. Remember, as Terry said, most graduate programs at full course is 3 credits. We're giving you 6 credits in roughly the same time frame, 12 weeks. Templates for assignments. Well, many of the assignments have samples, examples, exemplars, things like that. I can't guarantee there's a template. Most of I think the assignments in 610, since I designed them, all have specific requirements that say, task 1, make sure you do this, task 2, make sure you do this, etc. So I would consider that to be similar to a template. It's not fill in the blanks, but it gives you the specific tasks that you need to address. As always in graduate school, you run the balance between providing too much structure, where it's fill in the blanks, etc., and versus too little structure, where students throw up their hands and say, what the heck am I supposed to do? So you want to provide enough structure but allow for academic freedom and intellectual freedom for people to put their own spin on some things and show greater depth. That's part of the graduate process. We don't expect people to all get A's by just filling in the blanks. In fact, the norm grade in a graduate program is a B. If you do everything well, do it on time, adequately cover every task, no typos, misspelled words, proper references, that is a good solid B. You're not going to get an A by doing that. To get an A, you're going to have to show greater depth, greater evidence of critical thinking, etc. You'll hear more about that as the courses unfold. Good questions, by the way. We try to make sure that what we're doing is allaying many of your fears and concerns and providing you with enough guidance that you'll feel comfortable when you jump into that first course. Since this is the first course for all of you, and many of you are maybe still undecided about whether you really want to take on analytics as a career, you know it sounds good and it sounds like it pays well, but do you really want to do that? Well, the first couple of courses are designed to give you a good feel for, is this what you want to do? That means we want to introduce you to the key concepts. We want to show you some software that's being used. I mean, Watson Analytics is being used. I made it sound like just because it's an entry-level program, there are large companies using Watson Analytics for serious problems. It can handle large data sets. It just doesn't have all the bells and whistles of some of the other programs in terms of the ability to tweak things. And, of course, many people, end users especially, business analysts especially, don't want to tweak things. They want, in essence, a template that says fill in these blanks and you'll get a model. Now, we think a data scientist has to go a little bit beyond that, but now I'm getting philosophical, so we want to not go too far tonight. Is there a PhD in data analytics offered at UMUC? There is not at the moment. I don't know if there ever will be. We do have a doctoral program in management, but not in analytics. Of course, I think every management program these days has an element of analytics in it because the world is moving that way. I taught for years in the MBA program before I moved over to data analytics and helped design that program, and I've also taught in the doctoral program at UMUC. So I'm very familiar with the need to blend the world of analytics with the world of management. We do not, nor are we considering a PhD or a doctoral degree in data analytics at this time. I'm a professor. I'm not one of the top level decision makers, so whether they're considering anything like that, I really couldn't say. Okay, well, I hope everyone finds some time this week. Remember, for most of you, your section will start on the 12th, next Monday. So, as I said, for the Data 610 sections that are starting next Monday, I will be doing an overview of the course in a little more detail. I'll also be going through some of the known biases in decision-making. Known biases in decision-making. And, of course, that session will be recorded for anyone who chooses to go watch Monday Night Football instead of listen to my brilliant soliloquy on that. Is it possible to get an MBA as a dual degree addition? I believe that's still an option. You know, I think the deal is, as I understand it, you finish your master's degree and then you can take 18 additional credits, 3 courses from the MBA program that are specially designed for people who already have a master's degree from UMUC and get that second degree. So as far as I know, that option is still going, and I'm almost sure it is. I used to teach the dual degree program courses myself. They phased that out beginning in the fall. People should ask for it if they want it. Oh, okay, thank you. Someone knows better than I that phased out beginning in the fall. Okay, I did not know that. Appreciate that information. Thank you, John. I asked and started summer because of that. Oh, okay. So if you started it, they're going to finish, can keep going for those who started. Gotcha. Well, again, it's a little past 9. We promised we wouldn't keep you more than an hour. Certainly, we can always deal with additional questions with your faculty member, and should. And they, of course, we all coordinate as faculty members to keep everybody on track. So let's have a fun semester. I'm looking forward to it myself. I think I'm going to go ahead and stop the recording. Somehow, where's the stopping button here? Well, should let me stop. Usually when I click that, it says stop. There it is. Stop the recording.